Democratic Party now controls the House of Representatives. That's pretty exciting. They can subpoena people and jump up and down. They got a lot of power. The question is, what are they going to do with all that power? They can't agree. The party's most radical wing wants to push the Green New Deal. Young pioneer Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez says that if some Democrats don't like it, too bad. She's in command now.
Oh, it's unrealistic. Oh, it's vague. Oh, it doesn't address this little minute thing. And I'm like, you try. You do it. Right. Because you're not. Because you're not. So until you do it, I'm the boss.
That's
How
right.
about that?
So great. I'm the boss. How about that? Meanwhile, Nancy Pelosi tried to downplay impeachment talks last fall. And then freshman Congressman Rashida Tlaib says that's not an option. Impeachment is at the very heart of her agenda.
Every single colleague of mine agrees there's impeachable offenses. That's one thing that we all agree on. I think they all know the dangers of allowing President Trump to continue to violate our United States Constitution.
Yeah. Well, it's getting pretty hard for longtime Democratic lawmakers, the one who grew up in the system, to contain their party's younger, more activist wing, as Newt Gingrich, who ran the House at one point, observed today. These newcomers see the party's current leaders as irrelevant fossils from an earlier time.
If you're a freshman Democrat, the three House leaders are the same age as your grandparents. I mean, they're not father and mother figures. These are grandparents. And I think that if you think about a typical, 27-year-old relating to their grandparent, you have some idea of how they view Nancy Pelosi. She has limited control over them. A number of them, frankly, don't care what she thinks. So I think the tension in that caucus is just going to grow every week.
Robin Biro is a former regional director for Barack Obama's presidential campaign. He joins us now. Robin, thanks a lot for coming on. So it seems like what some of us have predicted for a long time is happening. The revolution is eating itself.
Yes, and you're exactly correct. These are the younger people. I admire them for their energy and enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just wish that they would take the time to actually listen more and maybe talk less and learn from the experience. I've been recently charged with being part of the old guard that's ineffective, but we get the job done. I think more Americans across the country fall into the centrist, level-headed category than the radical left. So I really think they would do themselves a service to just listen a little bit more, Tucker.
So maybe this is what you get when you don't run on anything other than not liking somebody. So I'm sincere. So there were races. Jared Golden, for example, in the 2nd District of Maine in the last midterms ran on health care, and he won. It's a Republican district. He won it as a Democrat because he ran on a specific issue. But a lot of these other people just ran on hating Trump, and he's an MFer, and I hate him more than you do. And that's not actually a platform, is it?
No, and it's completely ineffective. It actually really harms what we're trying to accomplish because, look, Americans, the reason that we have Donald Trump as president is because he was the anti-politician. I need for my party to get that. I need for Republicans to get that because Americans are desperate for us to work together and actually get things done and for Congress to get to work, to pass some bipartisan measures that there is an appetite for.
So who is in charge? If you're Nancy Pelosi, and you really see yourself as this figure in history, the first female speaker, et cetera, and AOC shows up and starts calling herself boss, you have to neutralize her. Would you ever be involved in leaking a potential FEC violation against her? I'm not a conspiracy nut, but maybe Pelosi had a hand in that?
I love to call out hypocrisy regardless of what side of the aisle that it's on. So I appreciate that she's being called out for some of her own hypocrisy right now. Nancy Pelosi's doing a pretty good job. I've been a huge critic of hers for years.
Yeah.
But right now, she's doing a decent job of reining in the party. I actually liked how she handled specifically the Green New Deal because she kind of said, yeah, that's cute. Now let's move on. And was pretty dismissive of it because she knows it's not going to really fly with the heartland and the Midwest, which is where we've got to regain votes to be a contender in 2020 and to keep the House. That's my biggest concern right now.
Wouldn't it be useful if Pelosi laid down the marker on that and said, look, we don't agree with the Republican agenda. That's why we're Democrats. It's understandable. But there are some things that Trump, by far the most traditional Democrat ever to run as a Republican, is saying that we agree with. Like, why wouldn't we be on his side with trade deals, for example, or infrastructure, or opioids? I mean, why not say that?
We need to do that specifically. I'm glad you brought that up. Criminal justice reform. There is an appetite. Dick Durbin said there's an appetite within the Democratic Party for real border security. There are things that we need to be working on. And yes, okay, you can say that Donald Trump said things that were maybe egregious and distasteful about the Charlottesville rally, for example. But okay, I get it. But it's taking away, to keep harping on that is taking away from the work that we really need to be doing. And we will lose the House if we can't get actual things done for everyday Americans, Tucker.
Yeah, definitely going to scare the hell out of normal people. I'm a little afraid. Robin, great to see you. Thank you very much.
You too. Thank you, Tucker.